Number 5, we have Zachariah Branch. Now, Zachariah Branch, I believe, is very different than any other receivers on this list. I think for the top 4 receivers on this list, you're really looking at a guy to take hold of your offense, a guy to be the wide receiver 1. I believe Zachariah Branch is kind of like a luxury piece, an extension of your offense, really an extension of your run game. When we look at Zachariah Branch at Georgia, he had 81 receptions, 811 yards, 6 touchdowns. He also played with Caleb Williams and USC. This guy's really electrifying, and his speed is definitely what separates him. He plays faster than everybody in college football, and I do think that's something that is going to translate to the NFL. I do think he has top-end speed in this draft. I do think he's going to have top-end speed in the NFL. My biggest issue with Zachariah Branch, it's kind of like he's very limited in what he can do as a wide receiver. When we look at him even at Georgia, a top program where, again, you could argue he was the best weapon at Georgia, everything that he's basically catching is at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. Like I said, he is an extension of run game, so you are going to see a lot of jet sweeps. You could possibly use him in the backfield, again, or some bubble screens. For me, players that he reminds me of Zay Flowers a little bit, and then he reminds me more like Xavier Worthy coming out, which, again, aren't the best comparisons. That's why I do believe Zachariah Branch is going to be the only person on this list that's going to go in the second round. I don't think he's worthy of a first-round pick because, again, like I said, to take a wide receiver in the first round, that has to be the wide receiver 1 you are building an offense around. With Zachariah Branch, again, he's going to be a constant threat to your offense because this is a guy that you can't get behind you. But I think for him to expand his game, he has to kind of not go away from what's at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage, but he also has to be able to get open downfield a variety of times. If you look at a guy like Jamison Williams, who I believe developed in the NFL and is able to now get behind receivers consistently, and you see, again, a handful of passes throughout the year where they go deep to him, that's what Zachariah Branch needs to do to really, again, become more of a complete receiver. Now, the differences with Zachariah Branch also compared to all the other guys on this list, I do think the offense he goes into is definitely going to predicate his success. He does have to go to a creative offense where the offensive mind, in my opinion, uses him in a creative manner. Again, like I said, everything right now with him is behind the line of scrimmage and stuff, but he is a guy that definitely brings you spark plays, and he definitely is a guy, again, with these bubble screens that get your offense, in my opinion, out of a funk, which is valuable. Now, the big thing with Zachariah Branch is obviously he is one of the best, if not the best, punt returner, kick returner in college football. Now, when you look at first-round NFL receivers, a lot of them, again, maybe return punts their first, second year, but then they become too valuable. Obviously, you don't want to use your wide receiver run in that skill set. But for Zachariah Branch, again, needs those spark plays and to get your offense out of a funk, or if you just need a play as a team, Zachariah Branch, I do believe, is going to be a punt returner and kick returner for a while. So for me, like I said, Zachariah Branch isn't the most complete receiver. I think out of all these receivers on this list, he doesn't have the most diverse route tree by any means. He's going to be able to, get stopped at the line of scrimmage, get jammed up when he's on the outside. But I think if you use him in a creative manner, and very similar to how the Ravens use Zay Flowers, if you use him again when he gets that separation off the slot between a couple of yards, again, everything's going to be at, right above, or behind the line of scrimmage for Zachariah Branch. 2 destinations I like. Again, I think he's going to go high to mid in the second round. I like kind of teams who already have an established pass catcher, and then he's like that luxury option. I like Vegas at 36. Obviously, we all know they're going to draft a quarterback. I think you want to help out the quarterback by adding another piece to that offense. I think they already have established, as bad as they are, they already have established weapons in that offense, whether it's him helping the run game with Genty or, again, Brock Bowers, again, a consistent pass catcher. So I kind of like that. And then, again, I don't know if he's going to slide that far up, far down, or if they're going to need a trade for him. I kind of did like Atlanta at 48 because, again, just a completely different receiver than Drake London. Drake London, a big body receiver. This guy, again, a little something different to their offense. And, again, they may need to help on the offense because the quarterback position is really bad for them, and I do like Atlanta's defense. So those are the 2 destinations I like. Again, you could go into Zachariah Branch, talk about the destinations as well.
Yeah, so I actually think, if I have to look and see where they're picking, but because I don't have the draft out in front of me, the draft order. But also another team, maybe potentially, the 49ers. That's a team.
I was going to say the Niners, but
yeah, because when you were talking about him and the player comparisons, I was thinking of how they used to use Deebo Samuel, and now obviously Deebo got older. They cut ties with him, traded him to Washington. I feel like that could be another potential fit for him. Now they don't necessarily have that true number 1 wide receiver with all the drama like Brandon Ayuk. He's probably on his way out. Juwan Jennings is a pretty good receiver, and Ricky Pearsall has had some injury issues, but I feel like that could be a potential destination that could also help out, like you said, in the running game. I mean, obviously, Christian McCaffrey's taken on such a huge workload over the years, and they kind of want to pull back on that, to save him. And he was healthy this year, thankfully. So that's another potential destination that I could see that working. And obviously, you talk about a great offensive mind. We know what Kyle Shanahan brings to the table. So that's a potential team that I could see a player like Branch working with. So.
Yeah, I really like Zachariah Branch to the 49ers. Again, I think they were picking at like 58 in the second round. So that's the only reason why I didn't put them on here. But again, if they could trade up or somehow find a way to get him, I think it would be a perfect fit. Also because, again, you look at Juwan Jennings, who's a willingness pass blocker, and you also look at Ricky Pearsall as well, a different type of receiver, even though he's been in and out with injury. And again, nobody would probably use him better than Kyle Shanahan does. I like that destination a lot. And again, like you said, although he's a little bit of a different of a body type than Debo, you saw Debo as a receiver that they were able to use as an extension in the run game. And again, Zachariah Branch could work very similar to them. Again, Zachariah Branch is just somebody that slots in at 5 for us because this is a top 5 list, and it had to be somebody in that spot. It was very hard for me to choose between him or Casey Concepcion, who's a very different style receiver. But I believe Zachariah Branch, with the elite top-end speed, etches him in at number 5, even with those limitations.